Hi, friend.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a week.
Did you get what I did there?
Yeah. I did. Hi, friend.
Hi, friend.
This is a very special episode for me. I'm excited.
I mean, I'm very excited too because I just feel like, what we are talking about is just like our childhood. We've grown up with it.
It's probably one of the most significant shows in my life. It's very iconic. What we are talking about is Friends.
The reunion. Dun dun dun. Yeah, this isn't like a normal app for us, but
This isn't a normal episode, but
No.
we had to do it because we're both so incredibly passionate about it.
we love Friends.
We love Friends.
Ours and the TV show.
Yeah.
How exciting, though.
Oh my god. Firstly, I think that I've been waiting most of my adult life for that moment.
Reunion.
Yeah. It's been like my whole life because Friends ended when we were like 9.
Was it?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
You
I've
were, like,
watched.
9,
Yeah,
2004.
that's true. But like, I feel like it never left.
It didn't.
No, like
didn't.
I've rewatched so many times. I'm sure you have too. So.
Yeah, way too many times. I know the lines. Like I literally can say the dialogues with the actors. I can hit the right tone. Like literally when they brought Janice on, I said her whole line, and I was sitting with Sid and my mom and Aisha. We were all watching it together, and they were just looking at me like I was crazy. But I like hit the right notes, and I was like, oh my god! Like I did it all with her. It was very funny.
That's so cute.
Yeah, but Friends for me, goes all the way back to my childhood, like it does for so many people.
Yeah.
I started watching. I was really young when I started watching it.
I think we all. I can't place like when I actually started watching it, but I was definitely young. Like I feel like I've grown up with these 6 people that are like very intimately my friends now.
Yeah, I saw that on social media a lot. It's really sweet, like that people are like, these are my friends. Like I felt like I was meeting my friends, after years and years, and it really felt like that. And for me, it goes back to the days of like renting VCRs and not VCRs, VHS tapes, and DVDs and stuff. My dad and I would go to our video rental store, and like they would have like seasons of Friends, so we would rent them. And then in the last season, Aisha actually reminded me of this because I didn't remember, but I had the whole box set of 10 seasons, like the DVD box sets, and I was like, did they release all together? But no, we got them one at a time. It was in the last season. Once a month, they released each season DVD. And so every month, my dad and I would go and buy that like season. So we started with season 1, and I collected all 10. And I had like the coffee table book. I have the Friends trivia game. I have so much merch. Yeah, I was that girl. I was that girl with Friends. I have like a coffee mug, like the Central Perk coffee mug. I have one of those. I have everything. Like everything you could possibly imagine.
Proper Friends stan here.
Proper. So for me, it just felt like this very full circle moment watching it, and just so much emotion.
Mate, can I just, I think it started and I think I had tears in my eyes. Nothing had happened.
Nothing. I think it was like they walked onto the set and I was like, oh my god, my heart.
Just all that suspense and
Oh, I think it was just seeing them in that space, which I think, what's his name? Matt LeBlanc talked about. He was like, I think I took into account being back here but not being in this space, and that made such a difference, being on that set. And
I think so, but it would, right? If they spent 10 years on that set, 10 seasons, and you can imagine it has a huge impact on you when you go back to something that you worked so hard on or so closely with the same fucking people. I don't know.
I thought it was so interesting when they talked about the casting process. That was cool.
So cute.
I liked all the little, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. That made me really happy.
Like a lot of these things we already knew.
Yeah.
Like, with the casting, like, I remember reading that, like, Ross was kind of written for David and all that stuff. But it's nice when it's kind of said by the people that are making the show and writing the show, and it's finally put out there, and you're like, oh my god, it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, but the biggest revelation of all, which everyone is, like, losing their mind over, and I was sitting there like, oh my god, was that Jen and David actually had a crush on each other. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
dude. I was literally talking about this with my mum today. I was like, can you imagine, like, that Ross and Rachel energy was, like, real. Like, it was actually, you can feel it, right? And it's like, wow, like, it's real.
It makes it so, I don't know what it just, like, everything is much more believable, you know, like
when there's actually that, like,
it's such a girly thing that, like, I love it. And oh my god, it made me so happy. And the way they were, like, looking at each other and they were like, yeah, we were crushing hard.
My favorite thing was when one of them was like, oh, no, none of them knew about it. And everyone was like, yes, of course we did.
Like, it reminded me so much of us and our friends group. It was so cute.
Oh, yes. Major love for all our friends.
I know.
And we're hitting 10 years as well.
We are. Or we just hit it, didn't we? Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, we are
2021.
2021.
We have all known each other for 10 years, which is crazy.
I know. So it feels very full circle.
It does. It really does. The other thing that I noticed was, well, actually, I didn't notice this. My mom pointed this out. She's like, Phoebe is in character. And I was like, no, they're not in character. And then, again, like, social media was just blowing up. I saw a lot of people say this. They were like, Phoebe is the most like her, like, Lisa is the most like her character. It felt like Phoebe was there.
Yeah, but it's funny because, like, Lisa didn't actually enjoy playing Phoebe that much. Like,
is that true?
This quirky, like, yeah, like, she says it at the end of the reunion as well. She's like, you know, Phoebe had to grow up. Yeah. Like, I could come back and play that same girl. Yeah. And I think, like, that whole thing, because Lisa actually has gone on to do some really amazing stuff as well.
The comeback, oh my god.
Yeah, and, like, she's just, like, she's obviously grown out of that Phoebe role. It's not necessarily her, but it's always going to stick with her, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was a defining moment for each of these people. It really shaped everything.
But I mean, I know, like, Jen didn't talk about it in the reunion, but she said it again otherwise, that after Friends, it was really hard for her to get more serious roles. What was that movie that came out? Dumpling, right? So that one was, like, her kind of push into, like, drama, or the one that kind of...
There was another one she did. I think it was called Cake. That was a little earlier. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she did Cake and Dumpling. Oh my god.
Food related. That's weird.
It was Cake.
It was Cake, right? She got an Academy Award nomination, I think.
Yeah, I'm talking about Cake, not Dumpling.
Yeah. Food.
Yeah. But, like, I remember when all the interviews and stuff came out for Cake, she's like, it's taken me so long to get a serious role because people didn't think I could do it after playing Rachel in a comedy sitcom for so long. And I mean, like, well, like, Matt went on to do Joey. So.
Well, yeah, Joey.
Was fun.
That was fun. I love how they just didn't mention it. Like, there's no mention of Joey as, like, a TV show or existence or anything. They just wiped from history. Although I didn't hate the show. I think it was just more of an attachment thing.
Yeah, I think it's hard to hate the show, but I think, I mean, Joey, but I just feel like it's not the same when you don't have the energy of, like, the Six, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they completely, like, I don't know, even taking him out of New York and just there were all these new characters. He didn't really feel like the Joey from Friends. He was just Joey.
Yeah.
You know, and just it was a very different character.
He was kind of the only, like, open-ended character, right? Like, everyone else had an ending. Yeah. Like, you had Ross and Rachel, you kind of knew that they were together. Yeah. Chandler and Monica had their family at the end, you know.
And I think even Phoebe and Mike were like talking about a family.
Phoebe and Mike, I mean, even, like, when they were asked in the reunion to kind of talk about, like, where they saw their characters today, like Lisa did say, like, yeah, Phoebe and Mike would have definitely probably doing their thing, like, but Joey was the only one that didn't have like an
But Matt LeBlanc seemed the most, like, to me, he seemed the most, like, excited. He was so cute. He was just very excited and very, like, happy. It was very, I don't know, it just made me...
It was very cute.
I was so happy.
Can we also just talk about the fact that Paul Rudd was not there?
Oh, yeah. You know what I saw on social media was that he was the one who actually filmed their final bow. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Oh, I saw this like meme on Instagram, and it was literally like, look at Paul Rudd sitting there like a mom at a talent show with his camcorder, and like that's literally the ending bow. Yeah. He was literally that person.
Which is so cute, but also, yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't there.
I mean, they did a video thing with Gunther. Like, you couldn't do a video thing with Paul Rudd. Like, come on.
I mean, Gunther's a lot easier to get than Paul Rudd these days.
You would think that he would just do it for the sake of...
I think it is absolutely amazing that people will do just about anything for this TV show. Cara was in that armadillo thing.
I know.
Like, that shit is not, it's not attractive in any way.
No.
But she still did it, because it's so iconic.
Okay, if they can get Cara to do that.
And Bieber with the fucking potato. Oh my god.
And freaking have Malala come in and be like, this is my best friend. No, you know what though? I think they were, what I understood from it, I mean, this is just my personal thing.
To show you the scope of,
to show you like, well, not really how far, but like the breadth of like the kind of people that watch. You have like a footballer, David Beckham, and like other actors like Kit Harington and whoa, Malala, Nobel Peace Prize winning gal.
That number they dropped, it's been watched over 100 billion times. That's like, you can't even fathom that number. No. It's just incredible. But I mean, I know how much I've contributed to that number, just me alone. Like, I have watched and rewatched that show so many times. I know when my dad was sick, he rewatched all of Friends. It made him feel so good, and just like, it is just that comfort factor. It really is. I mean, I think at any point, there have been points where I've watched it too much, and I've just been like, okay, I need a break. But I'll always come back to it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think what I usually do is just go back to the beginning.
Same.
Because I feel like as I get older, I think I remember the later seasons more, maybe because I was older. I probably watched them as they came out. But I think like the older seasons, I know them, like they're very familiar to me, and they're obviously like every episode there's something like, oh my god, like yes, this happened and that happened and la la la. But because I don't know, maybe it's also like we're closer to that age, like when they're younger.
I realized that. I think it's so funny because we're, I think, about to reach the age they were when they started.
Yeah.
They were around 26, 27. That's how old they were.
I am 26.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 26 in like 4 days, so.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
Exciting.
Oh God.
You don't get to do that. No, girl, you don't get to do that.
Wait, am I the second one from our friends
to
turn 26? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that's crazy. I didn't realize I was one of the older ones.
Excuse you?
I mean, you're the oldest.
It's kind of wild to see the cast like so much older. Like,
I know.
I mean, we knew obviously it's been like so long since they finished the show. So what, 17 years?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So obviously they're going to be a lot older.
You know what I think it is? Because we rewatch the show so often. You see them in that like.
And then you see them individually. Like you don't see them together.
Yeah.
So I think to see the six together and like so much older, like it was really adorable though. Oh my god. The cutest part was when they had the Geller parents.
I was thinking about, oh my god, they were adorable. Oh, that was so sweet. And what she said about how like she thought that they felt like their parents, that was so sweet. Also, Matthew Perry seemed so happy to see Janice, which just made me, like, I thought that was really cute. I thought that was really cute. And she was so excited. And I loved how she, like, just threw in the accent, like, or oh my god, it was so great.
Honestly, like, the little, like, even, like, Tom Selleck coming on, like, it was all just well done.
Yeah, that was good.
You know?
But he's aged well.
But, yeah, he has. Like,
he's on a show, though. I don't know what show he's on. I think it's Blue Bloods or something.
I've definitely seen him around. He's on something.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
No, just that, like, in all of these, like, cameos and stuff, I'm still, like, butthurt by the whole Paul Rudd thing. I'm telling you. I'm super butthurt by it.
I don't know why they didn't get him. That's odd. Especially because he was, like, he got married, too. I also thought they would bring her brother, Frank Jr. I was like, why didn't they get him? I think he's on an Amazon show now. But I was expecting to see him. Was there anything you didn't like or you wish, like, they had done differently?
I don't know, because I don't think I had, like, an expectation going in. Like, I was just super happy that this is happening.
I think that was what I felt, too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like my mom and sister both kind of were like, oh, they could have done more of this, and, like, I was just like, oh my god, I don't care. Like, whatever I got was, like,
I think
so
I've, like, at least, like, I don't know, like, we've all been like, there's been rumors about this, like, Friends reunion for so long. We thought, okay, 10 years after the show they'd do it, you know. There were different points that we just thought it was going to happen, that by the time, like, it ended up coming out, I don't know, I just didn't care anymore. Like, I just wanted to...
So I think we waited most of our adult life for this moment. And I think for me, a major thing was, like, when they all opened their Instagrams and, like, you could follow them individually. Like, that made me so happy. But, yeah. And then the thing that got me, like, I think I teared up, was when they were sitting in the living room and just talking. And they were like, well, this isn't going to happen again. Like, this is the last time. It's not going to happen. And
I know. But then I think, like, I don't know. Like, there was... It was sad, but it was, like, bittersweet. It was very bittersweet. You know, because I feel like we've got the closure now, you know? Yeah. And there's nothing left. Like, I think Lisa said it as well. She's like, there's no point in doing... I think James asked, like, oh, do you think there'll be, like, you know, any new, like, content? Like a reboot, whatever. And Lisa was like, no, like, we've closed it. We've left it. But I think
they said that a long time ago, and I like the reasoning, because it's really true that everyone, it took 10 years, but they ended all those stories, and you're happy with how everything, like, finished, and in order to do more, you have to then create drama, and you have to
open up,
unravel things.
You have to unravel,
and that's just not going to be fun for anybody.
No.
Which I understand that. Like, with Gilmore Girls, like, they needed that revival because of season 7. Like, they really needed to...
Yeah, season 7 was not a good closure for the show. It wasn't. At all. No.
After being so invested in those characters, you just felt like, I'm missing something. And I think the revival gave you that. So I think in that case it was kind of necessary. Mm-hmm. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the creator of the show left the show in the 7th season. And that just changed the whole dynamic of the show.
Yeah, I think so. 100%.
Whereas with Friends, like, those creators were there throughout, and it was very consistent and felt conclusive in a way that, like,
it just felt whole.
Yeah. I don't think I ever felt cheated by the ending. Like, it was how it needed to end. I still cry every time I watch that episode.
I know. It's just, it's because you know it's over.
I know. And you can still go back and rewatch it, but it's just like, oh my god, it's over.
We can't grow with these characters anymore.
I know. I think they just, I don't know what it is. It's amazing to me that there's almost nobody who hasn't seen the show, I think. Although, recently, I've heard a couple people tell me, like, yeah, I've never really watched Friends. No, like, older people. Like, my mom's friend said he's never watched it, and then someone else we were talking to, a friend of Aisha's, has never watched it, and I was like...
Like, I can understand if they're, like, these new Gen Z kids, you know?
But they're the ones that are watching it because it's on Netflix.
That's true, it is on Netflix, they are watching it. And it's just relatable, I think. Like, it's all around relatable. I think the best thing was when the writers were talking about, like the writers, producers, and makers of the show were talking about how they came up with the concept of the show, and how it was like, it's like our friends, you know, like living out their 20s in New York, like, you know, their issues, whatever. Like, Chandler was based on like one of their friends and whatever, and I just think that makes it all the more relatable. Like,
it does, and what the thing about it is it's the first ensemble cast like that, you know, where there's not one main character. Everyone is equally important, and I don't necessarily think anyone has managed to like recreate that so well, because even shows like Big Bang Theory and stuff, where they were sold as ensemble shows, you definitely feel like there are characters that are more important than others, and you never felt that with Friends. Everyone had equally important roles to play. Every single character was in every single episode, and it just, you were equally invested in everything. And I think that's what made it feel so relatable and so much like they are your friends, is because
everyone had equal parts. 100%. And that you can now go and be like, so in your friend group,
exactly,
who are you?
Which we did. We were like, this one is Chandler. Well, you were Chandler.
I think I am.
Pia is Phoebe for sure.
100%.
Yeah. You are the Chandler of our group, though, so.
I'll take it. I'll freaking take it. One of the boys has to be freaking one of the girls. I guess so.
I think I'm a combo of Monica and Rachel. But yeah, I don't know. It just, they were such defining people in our lives in such a weird way. Sometimes I feel weird, like, having such strong emotions about a TV show.
I mean, but don't we all? Like, I think half of the reason we're even doing this bloody podcast is
because we have those feelings.
We have those feelings and we have that connect.
It's just, I know. Sometimes I think, like, I'm like, is it just me? And then I realize it's not just me. And
that's the beauty of television.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that they recreated the apartment switch quiz. That was cute. That is one of my favorite episodes, and then I went and rewatched. Of course, I rewatched that episode after because I just love that episode. It's so funny.
I also love how the first thing they noticed when they got on set was that pillar that was put back in.
It's really fun. So I actually know this, and I think they also mentioned this, but the James Burrows, who's like a really big TV director, and who's directed a lot of pilots of like really successful shows like Will and Grace, Friends,
right?
A bunch of these like 90s shows. He did all the pilots. I think he did all of Will and Grace actually. But so that's the other time that there was a reunion of Friends, except Matthew Perry wasn't there. I think it was like 2015 or something. And they had this like tribute to James Burrows because he had it was like 60 years in television or something, some huge number. And that was when they all got together, and there's like a picture of them with the Big Bang Theory cast. I think he directed the pilot of Big Bang Theory. He's huge. Right. But it was apparently an inside joke that they would only bring the beam back when he was directing an episode. So you'll randomly see it. I love these little like behind the scenes facts. They make me so happy that I know them. But it's such a quirky set. It's such a quirky house. I love it.
Yeah.
And like,
but isn't that like, come on, I feel like if you were living on your own in your 20s, like, you would probably, I would have random shit around my house.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you know what
I mean, to be fair, you wouldn't be able to get an apartment like that today.
No, obviously not. Like, no.
Even then, they had to explain it through rent control because, like, there's just no way.
There's no way. Like, that is a huge apartment, and we all know.
I thought it was quite funny that the apartments were so different. Like, they're in the same building. They should essentially have the same layout, but they don't.
Well, wasn't the boys' one a 2-bedroom and the girls' one was 3, right?
No, it was 2 as well. It was just way larger.
But it could be a large. 2-bed large.
Sure. Like, they had the balcony and they had, like, just more space. Their kitchen was so much bigger. The living room was so much... Their kitchen was non-existent in the guy's house. It was like...
Yeah, a little square.
Yeah.
But the guy's flat was just a lot smaller.
I know. I just always found it funny. I was like, you guys...
Probably more apt for, like, what 25...
It was definitely more, definitely more fitting. Having lived in New York, it definitely is more of the vibe that you're going to have as
big cities.
Yeah.
Wait, London's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, Bombay's the same. Shoebox.
Bombay is the same. All these big cities.
Yeah.
But you know, I think in our first or second episode, I was talking about how Gossip Girl really was a huge factor for me of living in New York.
Yeah.
I think Friends was my major factor. I don't know, it was so aspirational. The funny thing is they didn't actually shoot in New York. Like, it was all shot on a set in LA. But just created a very, like, it just embedded New York in my head.
I feel you. I feel that. I mean, if I hadn't gone to London, I would probably want to be in New York anyway. Yeah. So those 2 shows probably played a part, but I ended up halfway across the world. So just felt very fitting for, like, the time and, like, you know, when at a time when, like, the world needed Friends again, they kind of came through. I think it was really nice. Yeah. I
mean, it got delayed by a year, but
that's fine.
That's fine.
Everything got delayed.
Yeah, that's true. But it felt like the time was right. And
it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I loved it. I got what I wanted out of it.
Oh, 1000%. Except Paul Rudd.
Except Paul Rudd. Except Paul Rudd. Fair enough.
Sorry.
But yeah, it was I think James Corden did a great job too.
Yeah, I think he was the right choice to like host it. Yeah.
I was a little bit like,
I thought it was quite random when I first saw him.
But you know what I realized was the executive producer and director, Ben Winston, he's a pretty young guy. He is the producer of The Late Late Show.
Oh, makes sense then.
Yeah, so I didn't realize this till, you know.
But I still think that, like, you know, if out of all the hosts that it could have been, like,
I'm so happy
Corden's like the most friendliest, you know, in that like bubbly kind of way.
I agree.
And I think that it works really well.
I also think he's a huge Friends fan.
So then it's even better.
Yeah, because I remember there was...
okay, but who isn't?
Who isn't?
Who isn't?
No, but like in a really genuine way where it comes out and his excitement and his questions were just the right kind of questions for fans. I think what you said is right. It's just the breadth of how far and how significant this show has been to, and it really doesn't matter
who you are.
Whether you're the biggest football player in the world or a Nobel Prize winner. It has touched so many people in such a deep and profound way just through like laughs and comedy, and
just brings you the comfort when you really need it. That is literally it. Like, it's one of those shows you can put in the background. You don't even need to watch it anymore, but like you know the voices in your head. Like you don't even need to watch it. You can probably play it out in your head without looking at a screen.
Imagine being them though. Like, they talked about this, how nobody outside of the 6 of them actually could understand what each other were going through.
Yeah.
Which is what formed their bond also, was like this incredible amount of fame that happened so quickly, like almost overnight. And it's like your lives were... My mom just always says, she's like, these 6 people, they just hit the jackpot.
I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, going in on something and then
wild. None of these people were at all known. No, but it's just so intense. It's such a...
But it kind of reminds me of, like, Schitt's Creek. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching, like, the like, making of Schitt's Creek episode on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I remember Annie Francis. She was like, I basically decided to, like, not act anymore because I'd gone for audition after audition and like not gotten anything and nothing was working. And, you know, I just happened to come across this show and suddenly I'm Alexis Rose and I'm like, you know, huge.
Crazy. I mean, that's the same with, they were saying that Joey, Matt LeBlanc barely had any money.
Yeah.
When he was starting. That's Big Bang Theory again. Bernadette's, the girl who plays Bernadette, I can't remember her name. She said she got the call for the audition when she was at the unemployment office. Like, it's crazy how these things happen.
I know. But then when it happens, and it happens like that, and it happens so organically, it almost like, it's more relatable almost, you know? Because you're like, wow, okay, like, these people were like almost meant to be in the roles that they're in, you know?
I mean, I feel like if any one of those people was played by somebody else, it would have been an entirely different show.
Can you imagine if Rachel wasn't played by Jen Ann?
No. I genuinely can't. I can't imagine any of them being played by anybody else. It was just really good, perfect casting, and, you know, like they said, lightning in a bottle. Every character had a moment where I was able to relate to them. Oh, even if I didn't necessarily understand, or even, like, you know what's so funny? I think I watched the show so early in my life. I don't think a lot of the jokes landed for me because I just didn't understand them.
I feel you, yeah.
And then I'd rewatch it and I'd be like, oh, I get that now. And that still happens to me. Once in a while, there'll be like a very subtle joke where I'll be like, oh, I never noticed that.
But I think they have enough like slapstick and enough like adult jokes that you can, at any age, like you can enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think it's just one of those timeless, ageless shows.
It's just, I don't know what it is about that specific show. I can't turn on a show from the 90s and just sit and watch it, like, because a lot of it feels very dated to me.
Oh, really? I don't know. I watch a lot of, like, 80s and 90s movies, so
movies I can do.
I'm trying to think about
shows. Like, I can't go and, I mean, I could, but I don't necessarily want to go and watch, like, the early seasons of Will and Grace, or...
Oh, but I do love them.
I know, I do too,
love
but
Will and Grace,
they feel
like
kind
the
of
old
dated
ones.
to me. Like, I feel like I'm watching something very old. I never get that feeling with Friends. I never ever get that. Like, I can watch it, but it comes with that feeling of, like, this is a very old show. Friends does not give me that feeling.
I think it has a lot to do with us being at that age now.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when we were younger, we watched it and we were like, wow, that's, like, almost aspirational. Even though it wasn't. They were, like, struggling and they were going through their 20s like normal people go through their 20s. But now we're in our 20s and we're like, oh my God. Like, they went through that tier. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then when we're older, we'll be like, oh my God, we went through that. It's just
basically we just see ourselves as a cast of Friends.
Yeah, basically. Where's our theme tune?
But, you know, I also think you're right. It is part of like age, but also it's the writing. It's physical comedy. It's not prop comedy. Yeah. It's not based on. They don't really make jokes that are about something happening at the time. It's all character driven, so it doesn't feel outdated. Like even 100%. Gilmore Girls. There are references in there
that are really old. Yeah.
Oh my God. I was watching Jane the Virgin the other day with my mom because she started it, and there was a Damn Daniel reference, and I was like, oh, that's already dated.
That has not aged well.
That is already dated. And I was like, it's not even been that long.
But it kind of, didn't Damn Daniel make a bit of a comeback as well?
Fair enough, but it felt very dated, and it just was not, like, it wasn't great. Like, they did not need to do that. It's not gonna land well in 10 years when someone goes and rewatches the show.
What does that mean?
It's gonna be that.
Yeah.
I know my mom didn't get the reference. For sure. There's just no fucking chance. So, like, that's why I feel like they really understood that it didn't have to be time-based. It was all very character-based. Yeah. It was all physical, which made it so, I think, timeless. I think that's what really makes it timeless. And what you can turn it on anytime. And then the other thing that I really loved was how they
how they handled. I'm not saying that they were the most progressive because it was an all-white show and whatever, but they handled the topic of motherhood very interestingly in Friends.
Yeah, that's true.
None of them were conventional
mums
or like pregnancies or any of that. You know, Phoebe was a surrogate. Rachel was a single mom, and you know, co-parenting, and then Monica and Chandler had to go through adoption. And I think it was very interesting to kind of shine a light on that.
You have to give them props, like, for the time that the show was made. Like, not everything, the 90s is not as, you know, open as,
they had a lesbian wedding, which is
insane. Like, even having, I think they did a lot of stuff for, like, females, not necessarily in terms of other minorities or whatever, but they did highlight. But I think that also came with the fact that they had three leading women in the show.
Yeah.
It wasn't male centric, it wasn't female centric, but if you didn't pull up the female dialogue, and if you didn't pull up that female storyline and make it progressive, then like what?
No, yeah, you know? I know there are definitely points where they talk about. I think one of the guys says something like, that's like, oh yeah, that the male nanny episode, that wasn't great. Like, Ross should not have had so many problems with that. But they talk about, like, that's like a woman wanting to, and the girls are like, yes, please finish that sentence. And there's all these little things like,
no uterus, no opinion.
Oh, that's the best line ever. No uterus, no opinion. Just, yeah, I think there was an empowerment that you got from these women, at least for me. I think I felt like they were very strong individuals, and they never really tied their worth to these men or their relationships or any of these things, and that really was so important to me too. And like, I think for me, I always loved Jennifer Aniston. I just loved Rachel. I don't know why. I was in love with her.
But who didn't?
Who didn't love her? I really thought it was interesting when they were talking about casting her and how unlikable she could be.
But you can understand that because she was like the bitchy girl. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what they were saying. If she wasn't cast right, it could have been a shit show.
Yeah, it could have.
Because if those lines weren't delivered the way that they were, or if the person playing Rachel wasn't charming and like charismatic and all those things, those lines could have been delivered really badly, and they could have been, you know, they could have actually come across as really catty, because some of, like, you know, like Rachel in her younger days, like the way that she handles the whole Ross situation, like, you know, like her going to prom and la 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 la, like those things could be, she was that popular girl that, yes, like she wasn't trying to be mean, she was just...
I think it was so interesting though the way they played it, because they made her the popular girl, but she was also best friends with the extremely unpopular girl.
But it does not happen though. Well, maybe...
I don't know, it just seemed like it happens, but in the context of like writing a show, they shouldn't have been friends.
But maybe it's what happened in their friend group.
Yeah. The other thing that was very interesting was that they wanted you to feel they wanted you to see Rachel through Ross's eyes. I thought that was so interesting. Yeah. Because I was like, damn, you know what? It's always been like that. We have always looked at Rachel through Ross.
But I think like you have to, because that's how you fall in love with her. Otherwise you're not going to fall in love with her. You're just going to see this girl that works in fashion, or not even, works in coffee shop first.
I think that like, what I always like really liked was that she actually struggled the most in her career.
Yeah.
I mean, Joey to a certain extent, and Phoebe, like the three of them, there were 3 and 3, right?
Yeah.
The 3 had very successful jobs, 3 were
that whole concept. What, Ross's birthday?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was for Ross's birthday, where they were like, you know, we always have to go to someplace nice. God, that was funny. But even, I think Monica loses her job in that episode.
Yeah.
But I think it was very interesting to see how Rachel's like whole progression from coming and having never done anything in her life and being a waitress to eventually becoming such a successful person in fashion.
Yeah.
So
gives us all hope.
I know, it gives us all hope. A lot of hope.
We can do it.
She was a very aspirational character, I think, for a lot of girls. So is Phoebe. I don't think Phoebe gets enough credit for being.
I honestly don't think Phoebe gets enough credit, because I think like everyone needs to be their quirky selves, and like it's so important to like just be you.
Yeah.
And I love that she was never put down like by the group, even like whatever in the writing and whatever, like she was always made an equal. You know, and that's so important, because we all have a quirky, like we all have quirks, we're all weird as shit, like, you know, those things need to be embraced.
That's the other, like, like she was, even the choice to be the surrogate and all of that, like, I thought was, they were so supportive, and they, you know, Joey has this line. I literally watched all these episodes just very recently, so I'm remembering all these things. But she was like, you guys were way more supportive when I wanted to make denim furniture. And Joey goes, if you decide to do this, we'll be supportive like crazy, but, you know, we just want to make sure that you're thinking it through. And it just felt like such a...
But isn't that like us?
That is like
sorry.
us.
Like,
it's like
we do that all the time.
The original name of the show was Friends Like Us. So.
Well, us. I mean, literally last week I had like a meltdown about my job, and like through mixed, like I got a lot of mixed reactions, but at the end of the day, if I decided to quit, everyone would have been everyone would be really supportive, you know, whatever.
And I think
I choose to do.
It's never like, oh, we'll just blindly support. Like we're gonna put the facts out for you, and then whatever you decide, we will support that.
I know. I love you guys for it.
I love you. We love you. But yeah, this was. It just made me really happy. I don't know what else to say. I had to talk about it, and I'm glad that we did a little review, like a little rundown. I'm probably gonna rewatch the reunion like at least another 10 times.
I think it needs to happen. It needs to process.
I know.
And then watch it again.
I think that's what it is for me too. It was so much emotion. I just genuinely
don't.
I couldn't. I don't think I moved for an hour and a half. I just was staring at the screen the whole time and like just smiling and crying and just like looking at everything so with such. It's almost
almost like
my 10-year-old self was watching.
I know. I literally felt like that.
I went back into this 10-year-old girl who was so in love with these characters. I felt very redeemed. Like they gave me
closure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, even now I can't put words together. I'm still
in my feels.
Still in my feels about it.
You.
I think we should play the Friends trivia game now, though.
Maybe.
Yeah.